Hello dear UPSC aspirants, I am Akriti Kanchi, your mentor from Prep and I am trying to help you read newspaper in UPSC relevant manner. Today there are a lot of news. Today is 24th April and there are several news important from prelims science and tech point of view, from mains society point of view and IR point of view, since India-Pakistan relations are going under such turbulence. So let's start with 24th April front page. And let's get it as soon as possible. First article, Indus Treaty with Pak put on hold. Indus Treaty again has come into light, so it becomes important again. Okay, this comes under GS paper 2, India and Pakistan, India and its neighborhood relations. Okay, so Indus Treaty with Pakistan will be put on hold. India flags Pakistan links to 𝙭attacks, which happened on 22nd April. The Atari checkpost will be shut. Pakistan nationals are told to return by May 1st, that is 6 days later, and special visas deemed cancelled and diplomatic staff to be withdrawn. Okay, so India will hold the 1960 Indus Water Treaty in abeyance with immediate effect. Five-pronged response that they have decided in the Cabinet Committee on Security, by the Cabinet Committee on Security, which was headed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Okay, and it took notes of the cross-border linkage that is coming from Pakistan, and they've decided to close the integrated checkpost in Atari, and Pakistan nationals will be sent back and who have come to India under the SARC visa exemption scheme. It also declared defense advisors in the Pakistani High Commission here as persona non grata, that is, they are unwelcome, they are no more wanted here. Okay, they were no more required. We want to send them back. India will be withdrawing its own advisors from the Indian High Commission in Islamabad. That is, relations going down to lowest bottom because of what happened in 𝙭terrorist attack. Let's move to the next article. Yeah, so Indian astronomers throw light on curious case of missing dark matter in distant galaxy. So dark matter is considered a very important part of our space. Okay, this comes under GS paper 3, Science and Technology, achievements of Indians in science and technology. Also awareness in the field of space. Space is very important topic. Okay, so astronomers at the Indian Institute of Astrophysics have found that the reason for the strange deficiency of dark matter in the distant galaxy NGC 1052 D52, it's a there is a deficiency. As much dark matter is supposed to be there in the galaxy, it's not there. So dark matter is a critical component of galaxy formation. Okay, so according to Department of Science and Technology, earlier models said that ultra diffuse galaxy UDG NGC 1052 DF2 is deficient in dark matter, which conflicts with standard galaxy formation and evolution models. Okay, so this poses interesting questions regarding the formation of galaxies with minimal dark matter. So dark matter is there, but less than what is generally found in the galaxies like spiral Milky Way galaxy of ours. Okay, and the astrophysical processes regulating the formation of such galaxies, potential nature of dark matter itself. So the questions keep going on and on. Let's move to the next article. So okay, this responding to the terror attack in 𝙭, how India-Pakistan relations should become after this attack has happened. This cross-border terrorism, which is supposed to be sustained by Pakistan military intelligence establishment. This comes under GS paper 2, India-Pakistan relations. Okay, at a time when Pakistan had faded from India's diplomatic radar, something like this has happened. So all these tourists were relaxing and having a good time in 𝐿𝑖'. 𝐿𝑖' is considered to be mini Switzerland. Okay, it was so this kind of attack on innocent tourists, it's like a deliberate assault on the idea of Kashmir only, which we were now going to consider as a safe and a heaven for us, but heaven as well as heaven for us, but the situation has changed. It can also be considered as massive intelligence failure from our side also. Okay, lowering the security vigil, because 𝙭is a tourist hub, and so there should be more vigilance. So responsibility of the 𝙭attack has been taken by the Resistance Front, which is a proxy outfit of Lashkar-e-Taiba, which is very well embedded with the network of Pakistan's inter-service intelligence. So a long-term approach we need to take of deterrence, okay? And the consequences for Pakistan should be so high that they should, think twice or maybe 10 times before doing something. That's what Amitabh Mattu, which is the writer of this article, is suggesting, okay? So it is saying India must embrace a framework of escalatory credibility, not escalation for its own sake, but the ability and willingness to impose pain through diplomatic, economic, and covert means. Okay, so there should be sustained efforts to diplomatically isolate Pakistan, isolate Pakistan on platforms where it wants to seek legitimacy, reconsideration of trade and water sharing mechanism, which is just now happening with Indus Water Treaty, expansion of covert and intelligence-based capabilities to disrupt terrorist infrastructure across the line of control. Okay, so Pakistan, several attacks have happened in India. The Kargil War, Parliament attack, Uri attack, Mumbai attacks, 26/11, Pulwama. Right, so India cannot afford to allow its adversary to do something like that. So in Kashmir, what has happened? The tourism will take a huge blow. Already, all the hotel reservation has been cancelled, right? So the younger generation in the valley was looking for opportunity and not militancy, and they need better jobs, better future, right? So that needs to be worked upon, and India should make sure that other countries like US and other developed countries, so India must press for clearer public language from US and its allies, and for sustained pressure on Pakistan's support networks. Okay, India has to make sure that other countries are speaking strongly against it. Let's move to the next article. What beauty pageants tell us about power and priority. So normally this beauty pageant is not under our UPSC syllabus, but from women's point of view, from capitalism point of view, from globalization point of view. So pageants are what? It is a mixture of globalization and capitalism. Okay, so there is a contest held all over the world, okay, which capitalism, companies are sponsoring, okay. So this is in our GS1 paper syllabus, society, globalization and capitalism. It is intermerging of both. So this 72nd Miss World Beauty pageant is scheduled to be held in Hyderabad. This typical beauty pageants kind of objectify women from a different, in a certain type of beauty, which nowadays people protest against, because it shouldn't, they should be seen from what they are and not just their outer, facade that is supposed to be seen. So it is an uneasy alliance of capitalism, patriarchy and globalization. We have such questions in UPSC, the effects of globalization on Indian women and things like that, okay. So there are two things here. First is the objectification of women. The other thing is women who win here also get a good platform to build themselves, right? Like a lot of Miss India and Miss World have achieved a lot in several spheres, okay. So what should be the way forward here? So the thing is, true empowerment is not about how confidently a woman walks on the ramp, but how safely she walks her neighborhood. Amazing point that you can use in your answers. In your GS1 society answer, amazing points. Not about global visibility alone, but about everyday dignity, access and agency. And these things are important. Okay, so where women's value should not be just linked to how they look, and more than that. So this is an opportunity to interrogate our collective values about what we want, who should represent our country, what are the values we want to be represented, whether it is kindness, empathy, sympathy, or just the looks. Okay. So that is how we have to define empowerment in the 21st century. That is for us to decide. Okay, let's move to the next article. Talking mode. Since US Vice President J.D. Vance is visiting India. So a lot of things are happening. GS paper 2, India-USA bilateral relations. Okay, so Mr. Vance is the first American Vice President to visit India after 12 years. That Joseph Biden J. Biden did it in 2013, okay. So they were discussing several things, like because US President Donald Trump is going to come to India this year for the Quad Summit that will be held in India, okay. Mr. Vance responded to some of the criticism of Trump's administration action. He said, Trump is not starting a trade war. Rather, Mr. Trump is hoping to rebalance global trade, which has gone in favor of few countries. Okay, so somehow it is trying to balance China's big power in trade. Okay, so you should know about Trump's policy of drill baby drill. What is drill baby drill? That take out as much fuel and as much oil out, as much as possible. Do not make a pause on it. They don't want to consider environment much. Okay. He's also talking about importance of amending India's nuclear liability law, so that US companies can come in India, private companies, and install nuclear plants here. So these are the topics discussed. Nothing much significant has happened. Let's move to the next article. So a good article here, very important from prelims and mains point of view. Air pollution in India, where does it come from? So each element of pollution is mentioned here. So this comes under GS paper 3, environmental pollution, also very important from prelims point of view. Okay, so with what is this air pollution, where does it come from? So first gas that they have discussed is SO2. It is the main pollutant that causes acid rain. Okay, sulfuric acid rains. Okay, and where does SO2 comes from? You should know now. SO2 comes from majorly from energy sector, that is burning of coal. Okay, burning of coal has sulfur impurities. So SO2 majorly comes from energy, that is electricity production from coal, etc. Next is nitrogen oxide, which is toxic, which is bad for lungs. This NOx comes from transport sector. Okay, see, you can see this graph also. Nitrogen oxide coming from transport, sulfur dioxide coming from energy, the maximum. Though it's coming from other sectors also, but the major sector contributing to sulfur dioxide is energy. The major sector which is contributing to nitrogen oxide is transport. Okay, and some part also comes from energy, burning coal, electricity production. The third, after the SO2 and after NOx, after sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide, third comes the black carbon, which is the soot that fills our skies and lungs. It comes from people who do not have gas and gas supply in their house, and they have to burn biomass and cook, charcoal for cooking. Okay, so that black carbon comes from buildings who are burning all this. Next is methane. Methane is a very bad greenhouse gas, and it is contributing a lot to climate change. So biggest contributor to methane is agriculture. Biggest, you can see methane emission, agriculture is and it also comes from when organic material is rotting in absence of oxygen. Okay, like in landfills where there is no oxygen, a lot of methane gets released. After methane, it is ammonia. Ammonia leads to a lot of, it is a particulate matter, and it also comes majorly from agriculture. You can see ammonia mainly from agriculture, everything from agriculture. Next is non-methane volatile organic compounds. Now that is also coming from several, it is an intermixing of several things like paints, cleaning products, chemical plants, and mixing with the already gases that is there. Important from prelims point of view. Very, very nice article. Let's put the next article. Now this article, extent of world's coral, this is a data, okay? Extent of world's coral reefs hit by the worst ever bleaching event. So coral reefs are being hit by the climate change. It has a certain temperature under which it flourishes. Okay, so harmful bleaching of the world's coral has grown to include 84% of the ocean reefs in the most intense event of its kind, International Coral Reef Initiative announced. So the fourth global bleaching event since 1998 has now surpassed bleaching from 2014-17 that hit some 2/3 of reefs. So this is the fourth event which has harmed 84% of coral reefs. That's very, very bad for our environment. Coral reefs are considered to be the rainforest of the ocean. Okay, a lot of biodiversity is there. Is India witnessing judicial despotism? Okay, so there are a lot of controversies going on between the legislature, executive, and judiciary, right? So this comes under GS paper 2, separation of power between different organs. So the term judicial review has not been used in our constitution, but it can be seen in the Article 13, Article 2026, Article 32. It's clearly there in the constitution. Okay, so judicial review is an essential part of rule of law and our basic structure doctrine. And judicial activism and judicial review are kind of interchangeable words. Okay, so there is a lot of criticism going on there. So according to a lot of critiques, that Supreme Court might be using Article 142 in a wrong way. Article 142 as nuclear missile. Okay, so the statement can be a little bit an extreme statement in itself. So the greatest criticism against the judicial review comes from that they are not elected. So since they are not elected by people and they are not accountable to people, so they should not be giving such huge orders affecting lives people, okay. So that is the major criticism, that unelected judges should not have power to quash laws that is passed by democratic elected governments, okay. But the problem is constitution has created these checks and balances for a reason. Constitution itself has created judiciary which should not be elected, because sometimes lot of election, because it comes from majority, leads to majoritarian policies that can appease to people but is not correct actually. So there needs to be some expert, knowledgeable people who are checking on it, and that's why constitution has given provision for it, okay. So constitution does not permit it to become majoritarian, and governor or the president cannot exercise their discretionary powers arbitrarily. So things should not be arbitrary. Who will check that, okay. The Supreme Court has a duty to speak against the misgovernment. If it fails to do so, it is its constitutional duty, okay. And the recent Tamil Nadu case, it has interpreted Article 200 that they should do as soon as possible, and time limit is kept for it, okay. So here we can see more things, that all three organs of the government must remain within allotted spheres, okay. And Supreme Court observed that powers under Article 142 being curative do not authorize the court to supplant substantive law. So Supreme Court in its own argument has said that we are not trying to change the laws. It will only be used as emergency when things are just to correct some things, okay. So there's a famous case here in 𝐿𝐴 2001, Justice 𝙨𝙗𝙩 had observed, please note this quote, very important, 𝐿𝐴 2001, Justice 𝙨𝙗𝙩, that the assent of the president envisaged under Article 254 Clause 2 is neither idle nor empty. It is an exercise of constitutional power. President himself is also under the constitution. Supreme Court, though its name is supreme, but it is also not supreme, but also comes within the constitutional limits. So in India we have constitutional supremacy, unlike UK which has parliamentary supremacy, okay. In India, constitution is supreme and no other organs, okay. Let's move to the next article. So this article very important from society point of view every year, and also essay point of view, okay. Every year question comes in society GS paper 1, that how social media is affecting minds of children, how mobile phones are affecting life of teenagers. In essay also, the role of social media, such topics keep coming, okay. So that is an article, all stress and no play, making children anxious with fragile mental health, okay. This comes under GS paper 1, society, impact of social media, and also essay. So psychologists and writers are linking that mental health crisis among teenagers to the use of digital technologies, and it's a Pandora's box that is rewiring their brain, okay. So the only way is to limit their social media use, and they need more independence and reading habits that will actually build good mentally strong kids, okay. So children today have far less time for free play and wholesome interaction. They don't have time. They are made to fight in the race of such a competitive world that either they have to fight in academics or sports or something. So they need some free time. Recess or break time that used to happen in school when we used to go is now only used to prepare for them for the test or something else. They are given no free time. So intense pressure around high stakes entrance examination, which is more of a filtration thing and not actually an aptitude thing. So it's not the case that somebody has not qualified competitive exam, that person is foolish or stupid. It's not the case, right? So these are mostly filtration kind of exams, okay. So this is taking a lot of their time, and they are not able to have that peaceful time where they can interact peacefully with people, right? So social psychologists said that the mental health crisis among the teenagers is because of the disappearance of free play in childhood and the increased use of smartphones, which is leading to sleep deprivation also and addiction, okay. So and he's also talking about constant conflict story. So 4 reforms, he's saying: no smartphones before high school, no social media before the age of 16, okay. Third is phone-free schools, and fourth is far more unsupervised play and childhood independence. Not everything should be made that they have to be excelling in the sport, or something should be just done as a free things, okay. So childhood reading is also very important, the platform in which everything is built, and we should make sure that children are picking up picture books for children and for bigger children to read, because Albert Einstein, there's a quote of Albert Einstein which you should use in essay or answers or main. Albert Einstein is reported to have said, if you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales, Okay, fairy tales have a great impact on the minds of children. If you want them to be very intelligent, read them more fairy tales. Okay, this can be conclusion of your essay. Okay, fairy tales contain all the material that help to grow emotional intelligence, innocence, love, honesty, kindness, cruelty, sorrow, and sacrifice. So good article. Okay, from essay and mains point of view. Let's move to the next article. Okay, we directly have science page. Study reports lipids also guide evolution, not just DNA and proteins. Lipid is what? It is a fat cells, okay, fat. So scientists' understanding of lipids is limited to their role as a packing material. So till now, fats were considered as a packing material, as things that hold protein. So actually the things which are working was considered as protein, okay. That is only going through evolution and transferring the traits to the next generation. This comes under GS paper 3, Science and Technology, Development and Applications in Everyday Life. Okay, so our body is made up of cells. It has several components, fats, proteins, etc. So proteins is the most known, most researched area. Proteins, because DNA, RNA are all made up of protein. So protein is long chains of amino acids that cells make with instructions from DNA. Okay, so when DNA changes, the cell is able to make new proteins. Okay, lipids make up to 30% of dry weight of the living cell. Okay, so lipids are fat in cells. You know, the cell membranes which show proteins jostling in bed of lipids. Okay, till now it was considered this only. So here the study also opens up the possibility of understanding human health better. So drugs like statins are commonly used to control cholesterol, another prominent lipid in cells. So if they'll understand lipid better, like cholesterol, they'll understand which drugs will behave how. Okay, so this new study may be the first to support the idea of lipid-protein co-evolution. So just protein is not going through evolution, lipid is also going through evolution. There is cross-talk between them. They are present in all mitochondrial organisms and other organisms also. Okay, so the role of lipids in controlling the entry of pathogens into cells also demand attention. So you should know the role of lipids also. Lipids are more complex molecules than proteins. These all statements are important. It can come in your prelim statement. While proteins are well understood polymers consisting of 20 amino acids arranged in different weights, lipids are made up of fatty acids. Lipids are made up of fatty acids that vary in length and chemical composition. Their composition in particular is only partly controlled by an individual's genes. The rest is influenced by diet and other environmental factors. So fat is some transferred by genes and the rest is taken by the environment also. Okay, so that's what is there. You can see the article. The next article. Okay, though it is in a science page, but it is talking about fundamental rights also. Experts seek right to cool for informal sector workers. So right to cool, they want to be known as under Article 21, because from April to June, IMD has predicted that there will be a lot of heat waves which will affect the life of informal workers. And informal workers make the biggest portion of working class or working population in the country. Okay, so climate experts, this comes under GS paper 2, fundamental rights, and also GS paper 3, disaster management, to deal with heat waves. Okay, so climate experts are asking urgent measures to deal with heat waves like paid heat leave, free water ATMs at labor hubs, and legal recognition for right to cool to protect India's informal workforce. More than 80% of Delhi's workers are street vendors, construction laborers, rack pickers, who will face a very high risk because of heat. A Greenpeace India report last year found that 61% of street vendors lost more than 40% of their daily income during extreme heat. Okay, so IMD has predicted above normal temperatures. 82% of working women are in the informal labor. So informal labor will be affected, and major portion, mostly women. Most of the women working are in informal labors. Okay, so a right to cool under Article 21 would mandate shaded bus stops, cooling shelters, and thermal comfort for all. India Cooling Action Plan is also there, 2019, which acknowledged cooling as a development need, but it doesn't have the provision of equitable access. Okay, so city level heat action plans are required. Shaded canopies made of heat reflective materials in high traffic areas, free water ATMs, hydration, etc. are required. That's it for 24th April. Thank you.